Big-time implications at strawweight. Luana Pinheiro, representing Brazil, looking for her first bit of action since 2021, taking on the former Invicta Atomweight champ. You know her the best. It's the Karate Hottie, Michelle Waterson. Somebody who's no stranger to a main event or co-main event under the UFC's bright lights. But Matt, when I look at a fight like this, it's a little bit like drinking lead to pool in April. It's a bit of a weird matchup.
Where do you get eggnog this time of the year is my question.
You gotta Baxter connections. Baxter.
Craig knows a guy in the eggnog industry.
The weirdest part is, if you're in New Brunswick, Canada right now, you go to Walmart, you go to a grocery store, for some reason, yeah, they have 1 liter cartons of eggnog, and I'm a big fan. But Matt, when you look at this matchup, for Michelle Waterson-Gomez, as she goes by now, it's 1-4 in the last 5. 3 of those fights are main events. And if you go down through the main events, one's Joanna, one's an Angela Hill fight of the night win, and then the other one that you have, it's a co-main event against Michelle Rodriguez, and the other one a main event against Amanda Lemos. So 3 main events, 1 co-main event, and I think I said the wrong name. I meant to say Marina Rodriguez. But if you go down through and you look at these, the level of competition for Michelle Waterson-Gomez, with the exception of the first 2 fights that she had in the UFC, are over pretty good competition.
We might disagree on this, and that's fine, but I gotta be honest, even when Michelle Waterson was on her rise to the title, I was never totally sold on her as a contender, and this is why.
She never fought for the title.
No, on her rise to the title, though. Like, if she beat Joanna and Jacek in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, she was probably gonna fight for the title. My point was, she won on a big Fox card. Like, those big Fox cards were a big deal at one point. I know we might kind of forget about those now that we're in the ESPN era, but that wasn't a regular fight night. That was a Fox card that happened 3 times a year.
That was a Fox card that featured Michelle Waterson-Gomez beating Paige Van Zandt and Sage Northcutt, Emo Sage, taking on Mickey Gall in the co-main event.
My whole point is, and if you guys in the comments want to get after me, I'm here for the hate. Who was the best fighter Michelle Waterson beat on her way up? Karolina Kowalkiewicz in 2019 was not in her prime. Felice Herrig was not ever a real contender. Courtney Casey was never really looked at as a contender, and I've got news for you guys. I genuinely thought Courtney Casey had won that fight because she threatened a lot more with submissions off her back. My whole point is, the real question mark in this fight for me is, where's Michelle Waterson in her career? She's 37 years old. We haven't seen a lot of fighters at 115 pounds really excel at this stage of their careers. My point is, though, I never really thought that highly of Michelle Waterson on her rise to the title, and that's why I have a hard time picking her in this matchup. I rarely start a video out this kind of one-sided towards a fighter. I just don't know what Michelle Waterson has left to give, to be honest, at the top level of competition.
Throws volume on the outside. Luana Pinheiro doesn't move her head on the center line. It gets kicked to the body like it's going out of business.
You're right on all this.
Side kicks that Michelle Waterson-Gomez excels
This is my point, though. Nobody is concerned about the power of Michelle Waterson-Gomez at this stage of her career. If you walk forward on those side kicks, yes, they're going to push you back, but for the most part, Michelle Waterson-Gomez does not have a lot of legitimate finishing power in her skill set. I know the kicks are very pretty, the jiu-jitsu is good when she's able to get it there, but the problem with Waterson-Gomez is it wrestling great? No. She relies a lot on those head and arm throws with her judo, so if she can get this fight into the clinch, I think she could have success. That's just really been my problem with Waterson-Gomez. Her jiu-jitsu is good, her striking is much talked about, but her wrestling has always been the thing that does concern me.
Well, for Waterson-Gomez, he talked about judo. Luana Pinheiro is a judo black belt. Her father's a judo master, and that's the foundational element of Luana Pinheiro's.
Would you agree with me, though? Like, Waterson-Gomez is not a bad grappler by any means, but she does rely a lot on those head and arm throws from the judo position. She never goes for single leg or double leg takedowns, so I do think the one area of her game that can get her to where she can succeed is really going to be countered a lot by Pinheiro, like you would mention.
What's your favorite bit of media that Michelle Waterson-Gomez has been in throughout her career?
I have no idea.
Bully Beatdown?
Bully Beatdown was a wild show, kind of.
Or American Ninja Warrior. She got bounced early on
that. You remember the show Wipeout? Wipeout I thought was pretty fun to watch, but I never got into American Ninja Warrior.
Do you think people at their house buy eggnog and decide to put it in gold tins with little tiny cups?
There's one person in New Brunswick who's like, I know what that is. I'm drinking it right now.
Yeah, there might be. But when you do look at this one, for Waterson-Gomez, longtime Jackson Wink MMA affiliate. She did leave for a brief period of time. Much publicized, but she does train with Holly Holm and Arlene Blencow. You know, Danger Fist. Anger Fist.
At 37, I genuinely do have concerns.
Luana Pinheiro, though, you do look at it, and every win but one, I mean, we're talking just so many first-round finishes for Luana Pinheiro. And I should say, she does have that DQ win against Randa Marcos, one that she was doing the head and arm throw. It was an illegal up kick that looked like it knocked her out from the broadcast team. She has 2 decision wins, but all of these wins are coming in the first round when she's able to get them done.
No decision.
The level of competition was quite poor coming into Dana White's Contender Series, and then it was quite poor in Dana White's Contender Series. She took on 8-6 Stephanie Frosto, who's now 8-9. Then the Marcos fight, then Sam Hughes. And in the Sam Hughes fight, first time we've really seen her go late into a matchup against a UFC level competition where both threw incredibly low output. And in my mind, Pinheiro was able to win 2 of those 3 rounds. Pinheiro was originally due Jessica Penne last year. Penne withdrew from the fight. So again, this is Pinheiro's first action since 2021. She trains at Nova União. Obviously, that kind of partnership and life partnership with Mateusz Nicolau. But Dede Pederneiras is the head corner. When you go down through it, again, all 8 finishes in the first round. The thing that weirds me out, like, I do like the 3rd round showing that she had against Sam Hughes.
Exactly. I learned a lot in that.
That kind of answered and checked a lot of boxes. But for Pinheiro, a lot of big actions early when you go for a lot of those judo throws. And her top pressure isn't necessarily the best considering the lineage and the finishes that she does possess.
Waterson-Gomez became a top contender because she beat Paige Van Zandt on a Big Fox card after she beat Angela Magana in her UFC debut. If this was the lightweight division, the bantamweight division, or the featherweight division, you'd have to win, 9 fights in a row to get to that position?
Yeah, but that was the premier division. It's the best one right now.
What?
Women's strawweight's been long the best division of women's MMA.
So hot right now. My point is, though, for Waterson-Gomez, it's the best division of women's MMA because it's the deepest, but I wouldn't say it has the top tier talent, that's all. My whole point is, for Waterson-Gomez, I think she can have success if she is able to get this fight to the mat, actually, because she is a fighter who's very active from those positions. What?
The Karate Hottie, the army.
Is 37 and hasn't looked great in a while.
1.7 million Instagram followers. Luana Pinheiro has 100,000, so it is a night and day there.
Instagram followers won fights, then
Pinheiro is a decent favorite in the matchup. We have a look at the Topology votes. Surprise to us there to you. I'm going to say over under 80% for the Brazilian in the matchup.
I think they'll be under.
I think they're going to be under, and they are under 1,662 total votes. 74% Pinheiro, 80% by decision. She's won 10 fights. 8 of them are by finish for the 26% that have Waterson-Gomez, 87% by decision. The UFC definitely did her dirty her last time out against Lemos. But in this matchup, Matt, Pinheiro, she stands on the outside, she waits, she keeps her hands kind of chest height, she doesn't accept those body kicks all that well. We talked about Marlon Vera's guard where he's able to bring his hands down to block a lot of the body punches.
His defense,
and then he can bring them up, he can bring them down. He almost has a boxing defense. Pinheiro, that's just the hand height, and that's what you get, because obviously the judo shines, and that's that foundational skill again. Pinheiro will pump the jab out there, but tends to hit on air with that. The right hand will land out of it. Doesn't tend to throw a lot of kicks. She doesn't have much volume to her striking. She does have nice power, but she doesn't have a lot of volume behind it. Waterson-Gomez does, although she does have a negative striking clip in the UFC with all of the experience.
I think the Joanna fight, though, has a lot to do with that.
That she has 6-6 in the UFC for Waterson-Gomez, that bully beatdown star. Smart, again, Pinheiro's favored. We haven't seen her in quite some time. Who do you have to win this fight? You really let the cat out of the bag early.
I did, but here's that. Like, it is a difficult fight to predict because, again, I'm not completely sold on Pinheiro as some, like, top-tier prospect. And I think that is fair to say. If you beat someone like Michelle Waterson-Gomez, I'm not saying we don't learn anything about you. I think that is a very good step to becoming a genuine contender. But until we do see this fight, I think it is fair to say that there's genuine concerns about Luana going forward. But I do have her in this matchup for all the reasons I brought up. I think you do bring up a very reasonable concern, though. The side kicks of someone like Waterson-Gomez could give her a lot of issues from the outside, but that's why I brought up Waterson-Gomez, and you saw this in the Joanna fight. I know that's not necessarily the best example using one of the best fighters in the division, but still, Joanna said, okay, you can do all that movement, be cute on the outside. I'm going to put my hands up like this and walk forward and just beat you down as I get closer to you.
It's not Pinheiro's game, though.
I know it's not, but how is Waterson going to win this fight? Either volume kicking from the outside, which is a pretty difficult way to win a 15-minute decision, or, which I believe is is use her grappling, and I do think she can have success with that. I just think Pinheiro is going to be able to counter a lot of that grappling, and for those reasons, I do have Luana, but again, this is a very close fight.
I like Pinheiro with those throws, and if it does get into a clinch, I favor in the matchup. Waterson-Gomez with the volume could definitely get it done, Matt. The other member of my household will not be able to drink the eggnog now because I backwashed into it. Enjoy Christmas, Joyeux Pâques, because that's coming up. And Matt, a big-time matchup in this women's strawweight division with both of us going with Brazil's Luana Pinheiro. We have a big-time matchup in the next fight, Matt. I mean, Chris Curtis is taking on Kelvin Gastelum. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.